So I'll share with you my story in terms of production. I never wanted to be a producer, and I never had it as a plan in my life. I've always been into community service since I was 12, 15 years old, and that's what I always wanted to do. I always fascinated this whole idea of working with the UN and doing different projects, and that's what I had in mind for myself in life. I grew up my teenage years were in Saudi, and then I moved here. So unfortunately, 20 years ago, there were no careers, and until now, there are no careers that are related to community service and so on. And I never thought that I would actually, I never asked my dad if I can travel and study abroad. So I didn't have options and choices. I went to AS. I registered as environmental scientist, and I never went through. And then I did business for a year and a half, and every day I would ask myself, what am I doing here? And I didn't know what to do. I knew what I wanted, but it's not there. So I started being involved in the community service in university and so on. And then I ended up with PR. I graduated with a degree of PR, which I picked 2 years ago just for my residency. But then I graduated. I was home for 6 months. It was in 2008 during the recession. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I still wanted to do community service and so on. And there was no much kind of jobs here. Even the UN back then, they didn't really hire people and so on. All they wanted is people to fill in data and all that kind of stuff. And then I started working with a production house as a HR, PR, and then because of the recession, they turned me into an office coordinator. So pretty much I was doing secretary work. They promised me it's temporary. 10 months down the road, I'm still a secretary with the degree, that's different and stuff. And I felt okay, this is not my space, and I can't do this. And this whole idea of checking in, checking out, being absent, being late, having your salary deducted, I'm I don't do this. I'm out. So yeah, 10 months down the road, I was in bed with depression, and I'm I can't do this. And I just quit my job. And I never did a full-time job ever after that. It was always, I've been freelancing for the last 10 years. Doing that kind of job got me interested in production, and I was seeing, so basically the production house that I was working for was creating documentary films from all over the world, and it was fascinating how you can actually see, you can travel the world from just the screen that's in front of you and stuff. And I was just fascinated, and I wanted to do something about it, but I wasn't sure what was it that I wanted to do. But I always grew up with organizing skills, being able to manage teams, doing events, and all that kind of stuff. So someone later on told me, how about becoming a producer? I'm okay, what's that? And I got introduced to production, but from back scenes. I was just watching and observing people, how do they do production and so on. So as I said, after that, I resigned, and I was home for 6 months. A friend of mine calls me up, 3 months, that was when I first graduated. Okay, 3 months later, a friend of mine who's from a production house, she calls me up and she's like, Gigi, I have a job for you. I'm actually traveling and I can't do this job, and you're the only one that I can think of for this job. And I was I've never done production, so I apologized. I'm no, I can't do it and stuff. And then she insisted. And then after some insisting, I'm okay, let me take it and go through, and maybe something will come from there. And since she promised that she's going to help me with it and so on, I took it. And then I received the email from the production house, and I was literally I was staring at the screen for 15 minutes, reading the email over and over and over again. And it was literally my first job ever was والخواطر for MBC, and I was I called my friend, I'm Dunya, are you sure you want me to do this job? I'm I've never done production in my life, and the day you want me to do production, you want me to do it for Khawatir? She's what's that? She didn't know what was the show, and so on. I'm that's one of the biggest shows that comes on TV, and there are millions of viewers on yearly basis and stuff like that. And then she still insisted. She's I called you from day one, and I think this is for you, and you should do it, and I'll be there with you. Virtually and so on, and literally she did not leave me alone. She did the Excel sheets, all of what's required for producer, and fixing and making everything is arranged and stuff. And that was my first job. So I started from the top. I was literally thrown in the ocean. I was yalla, go ahead. So yeah, that was my first job, and I had my first challenge. So we were on set. We were supposed to be there at 6 a.m. and then all of the crew is there, but the sound guy is not there. So like you can't replace him. Like if it's a cameraman, I will hold the camera. Like, but the sound guy, and even the equipment is not there. And Shugeri is in his car like for 2 hours. He didn't come out of the car, and I'm like, someone help me here, please. And it's 6 a.m. Who are you gonna call at 6 a.m.? There's no one there to call. And yeah, like, and then when the guy came, Ahmed came, he's like, 2 hours late. I'm like you had to apologize. Like you can't give an excuse, and so on. And that's it. So I started from there. I was grateful that I actually continued. Like I started off as a fixer for like UAE and whatever was required here in the UAE, and I ended up being one of the producers that traveled the whole season in Khawatir 11. It was an interesting journey. Like, and even after I finished that show, like there was nothing that's like that show. Not because it's a big show or anything. The whole idea of how it was done, the topics, the challenges, like everything was very different. Like, even after I've done so many projects throughout the years, until today there's nothing like that project. It's because it's everything. Like we literally used to work around 11 months a year just for those 30 episodes to come in Ramadan, and just seeing them there on TV was always overwhelming and very exciting, because you've been there and you've seen the people and you've been under I don't know where, and you were about to get killed somewhere, and the footage was deleted by mistake somewhere else, and all of those like little stories that happen behind the scenes, and then people just watch it, and then okay, sometimes you just get criticized and go like, if you only know what happened to us for us to have that 30 seconds be on TV and so on. But along that, like, what was interesting is that made me do whatever I wanted to do as a philanthropist. Like, I did find myself doing community work through media and finding how powerful it is. Like, before when I used to be in university and when I used to see the media students, I used to make fun of them. Like, you're filming for 5 days just for 1 minute? That's so silly. Now we spend like 18 hours a day for like a 30 seconds video to come out, and you don't regret anything, and even the footage that's not there. Like for Khawatir, we used to film up to 1,400 hours just for us to create, less than like 20 minutes a day. That's, I don't know, what's the math, like 100 hours less for just that month and so on. And what else? That was my trip there. I've done so many different projects, from TV to commercials to now with the latest trend with social media and influencers and YouTube and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. What did I want to say?
How you chose the projects that you got into.
Okay, yeah. For the projects, like since day one, I'm very picky with the projects that I do, not for anything, but because again, I always realized how powerful media is and how you can actually change communities and convey and deliver a message, and unfortunately say something that's not true. Like you would hear, let's say, oh, there is a bombing that happened in a street in Mumbai, and you're there and you go like, nothing is there, but someone decided to take that picture and take it there and so on. So now I've seen, like I've been in TV stations and I've seen how work is done and how they manipulate that kind of messaging and how they want to make sure that people receive a certain message and so on. And I was always against that. I'm like, if it's not genuine and true and has an impact, I'm not going to do it. That's why I've been very challenged throughout the last 10 years when it comes to production, especially, let's say, after I finished Khawatir, it's been 2 years. I barely did any projects. Like the last 2 years, I can count them on my hands, because everything, especially in a young city or a young country here, like all of the projects are very corporate. Like no one really wants to do documentary, nobody wants to do reality kind of stuff. People always the client always tells you, oh, the people don't like that, which is not true. People do want to see things that are real, and everyone now is fed up from this whole idea of those messages that are coming. Like you wake up in the morning, you open your Instagram, and it's like, I can't be like that person. I can't look like that girl. I can't have that kind of stuff, and like it's creating this, how do I call it? This trend that it's very challenging for people, and it's like you feel like you're in a competition every day, that you have to be somewhere that's there, which is not reflecting reality, and that's what clients want to do because they want you to buy more, and it's all materialistic kind of stuff, and I was always not wanting to be part of that. So that has been a challenge, it still is. But then after that, like when you're challenged, you always look for solutions. You always try to find your way out. So what I've been trying to do for the last couple of months is work with individuals who have a message, who are intellectual, who have something there in them. And they are not able to be out there because they don't know how to do it and stuff. So I've been helping people who are interested to have an online exposure by doing shows for them, working on their social media, their content, their websites, branding, and all that kind of stuff. The messaging, a lot of people have brilliant ideas, but they don't know how to present it. And they have this, like, it's always different. You have to always present things different, especially now. Like, if it's not sexy, no one is going to take it. So that challenge of, okay, you like your product, you believe in it and stuff, but it has to always be very like, it has to grab people's attention. And that's where I come in. I think that I'm able to do that, where I can see things from a different perspective. And it's always about getting out that beauty that attracts people and having it seen in a different way, where people think, oh, I've never seen this before. Okay, I like it, and I would like to listen to this person or follow this person, or let me follow their method and so on. So yes, any other questions? Well, production, anything else in life is experience and how you learn and a lot of things. So basically, as a production, there are several elements. One is being organized. You have to be the most organized person on the set, otherwise it's a disaster. If the producer is not organized, no one is going to get anything done. Being very humble in terms of, like today, after let's say 10 years of production, I still don't mind if there is coffee that's spilled on set. I would go and clean it. I wouldn't wait for anyone to come and clean it and stuff. And that's something that a lot of people fall out of, I would say, or after they see that they elevated in their career, so they would go like, no, I'm not going to clean that coffee. You call that person to clean it. I'm like, no, you go ahead and you do that because it's part of your job. You have to always be humble, and you have to always. You're restricted with a timeline. You have a client, you have a job, you have a whole team that's there. If I'm going to just sit and wait, nothing is going to get done, and people are going to keep on pinpointing, and it's his job. I'm like, okay, just get me that mop. I'll do it. So that whole idea of staying humble is very, very important for you as a producer. Your reputation, like being honest, being on time, being true to your values and your ethics and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's very, very important, especially, again, in media. There's a lot of wishy-washy kind of stuff that happens. And you would receive, let's say, a phone call, and someone would ask you for a quotation, and would ask you for 2 quotations because he wants to give a client a quotation that's, let's say, 150,000 dirhams or dollars or whatever, and he wants to pay you $50,000 and keeps 100 for them. And that's like, a lot of people wouldn't mind doing it, and wouldn't mind, let's say, paying money here or there just to get the job done. That's something that's a big no for me. And then I do get the job done at the end of the day. But you have to, there are a lot of ethics and morals that unfortunately people fall off in our field. And I always say, no, you have to have morals and work with them. You have to be, you shouldn't take things personal. You're there on set, the model will come and she'll go where's my coffee? The director will go, where's my sushi? And someone will, you'll have those most ridiculous requests, and you'll be like, seriously? The ceiling is gonna fall, and all you're asking me for your coffee? But then again, you shouldn't take it personal, and it is your job. They don't know what's going on. That actor or whatever does not know the tasks that you're doing, and then you should take it as light and be very chilled. Even Malak, she always goes how are you so chilled? It's something that otherwise you're gonna end up with a heart attack, or you're gonna end up killing someone on set, because it is a very, very, very stressful job, and it requires you to be alert all of the time. And someone, again, for example, Shugeri, we'll go back to Shugeri, would be in the middle of the slums in India, and he would go Jihad, there's a footage that we filmed 5 years ago under the stairs in Japan. Where is it? I'm like, now? I don't even know. What are you talking about? Bless him, he remembers. When it comes to filming, he used to remember everything we used to film. And I'm like, I forgot what we filmed yesterday. I wouldn't remember something that's from. But then again, that's your role as a producer to make things seem that everything is under control, you know what's going on. Again, as I said, you always face disasters. Someone from the crew would not show up. You think that you have a permit, and then you end up showing up there with a crew of 50 people, and then someone decides that they don't want to let you in. Again, you have to be very chill, and you have to make everyone feel like everything is under control, and you're gonna get things done and stuff. So being in that kind of mindfulness. Nasser had a talk about mindfulness yesterday, so that's the word. So how, like being in that kind of Zen state where, because otherwise you're gonna lose control and you're gonna panic and things are gonna go wrong. So it's very important to be very focused and Zen within. Your reputation, again, as I said, is very important. Keeping, how do I say it? Taking care of the space. So for example, a lot of crews, they would go and they would film and they would leave the place as a disaster. Trash everywhere, the furniture is just scattered everywhere and stuff. Again, that's your reputation. People, when they see that, they will not call you again or will think that you're just a chaotic kind of production house or whatever. So it's important to put things back. I always say put things back where they are. Taking care of your crew. Yes, this is one of my very, very most important things to do on set is taking care of your crew. A lot of people, unfortunately, you're there on set, you have a crew that's filming for 14, 15 hours, you don't even give them a bottle of water. Haram, that's not acceptable, you cannot do that. Like, again, I wouldn't mind going and buying coffee to the cameraman or to the runner or whatever. I'm like, this is for you, you've been working for the last 8 hours, and sometimes we go up to 18 hours filming, and literally, like, you would be on set, and the producer or whatever agency will not give you a bottle of water. That's not acceptable. Or again, people disrespecting someone on your crew who's, let's say, a runner or a driver or whatever, that's not acceptable for me. Like, many times I left the set with my crew because someone was insulted. And I know that's not, a lot of people will not accept that, but no, like, people are for me at least, it's very important to take care of them because it's all about that team, and those people, they trusted you and they believe in you, and you cannot let them down. Paying them on time, even if it means I'm gonna pay them from my own pocket money, I would pay them rather than just leave them hanging for like 6-7 months or whatever because the client didn't pay. That's something that I always fight for, making sure that the team gets paid on time, at least know when are they getting paid. What else? Yeah. It's more of what is it called? Documentaries and things that are reality. Let's say an instructor or someone who has like material that they want, like things that are not corporate. Yeah, that would the word be. Film festival, films, all that kind of stuff. Things that there is art. It's more art rather than just a job that you need to get done. I always enjoy that. Yes. My pleasure.
You said earlier that before you start producing and being a producer, you used to struggle with not being at work on time and all that. How did that affect you when you said as a producer?
Again, sorry?
Like you said before you started
Yeah.
being a producer, you used to struggle with being on time at work because this did not matter to you because you were looking for
Yeah.
the best or better opportunity as a job.
Yeah.
Did that affect you as a producer? Because as you said, you have to be on time on set.
No, what I don't like. I'm a wild person. I'm a wild, free spirit, I would say. So this whole idea of waking up every day at the same time, going to the same place, sitting in front of a computer, for me that was a kill. Like until today, people go like, "When are you getting a full-time job?" I'm like, I can't do it, even for my own work. Like for my philanthropy work, I work everywhere and from anywhere from my car. Like, but sitting in a place and having that kind of routine does not work with me. And that's why I like production because, and again, I'm a field producer. Like I don't do office jobs. Like I'm someone who's there on the field. So every time it's a different set, it's a different crew, it's a different country, it's different people, and I like that. I like always seeing different people and having those different challenges all of the time. It's more, I find my passion there rather than just being in an office. No offense to anyone who works in an office, but that's like.
But how do you choose your project? Like you said, you care about human and reality. But how
after some time, and after like being there, and like especially, I think what added the most thing that I got from Khawatir is this whole idea of working in different countries. So you see different people from all over the world. Like you see how Japanese work, and then you see how British work and how Americans work. It's totally different. It is the same job, but everyone gets it done in a different way. And then you get experienced, and you would see a client, or you would see a producer, or whoever, and you would know, like, no, forget about it. Next, like you would, after some time, you would be able to know if this person is. Like it shows from the first meeting. Like it shows if it's all about numbers, if it's all about like with this again ridiculous like timelines. Everyone wants the job to be done yesterday. I'm like, no, no. If you want it yesterday, then خلاص, I'm not gonna do it. So there are little things that after some time you start knowing, okay, what's right and what's wrong, and what can you do and what you can't do.
Thank you very much.
What would you like to do?
Sorry.
What would you like to do, like, if your dream, if you could do whatever you wanted right now?
Well, again, I always say this, I don't believe in dreams. It's a vision or it's a goal, and then you just work towards it. So that's already there, and it's always about, so in my journey, I didn't have role models, or I didn't have people who were like older than me that I would actually take advice from and stuff. So today I try to be that for the people that are around me. Like I work a lot with younger people, university, school kids, whatever. If anyone calls me at any time and wants my time to sit and assist them on anything that has to do, whether it's production or anything else, I'm always more than happy to do that.